All right, Miguel, welcome in. I'm glad to have you here. And for those of you who are new here, yeah, Miguel just finished his 4 month program, and we're actually starting a new chapter the next few months. But Miguel, welcome in. And for those who don't know you, could you just give you like everyone the 60-second, just overview of who you are and maybe even just like your founding story, because I think it's really relevant to, yeah, people who are here as well.
Yeah, my name is Miguel Bautista. I am 31 years old from Vancouver, Canada. I run a business called CFS Recovery, where we help people with long COVID, chronic fatigue syndrome, fibromyalgia, and other related conditions, usually conditions that the medical system can't really help people with. We help them fully recover and go from surviving to thriving. So the reason I started it is because I went through it myself. I used to be completely bedridden, thought my life was over, couldn't walk, couldn't feed myself, and had to build myself from scratch. And today, yeah, I get to help people all around the world. So I've been doing it for a few years. It's very fulfilling, but at the same time, it's been very stressful at many times. A lot of emotions trying to build this. You're working with a lot of people going through some pretty intense stuff, and been working with Madison for a handful of months now, and it's made a massive difference in my life in pretty much all areas, business, personal life, energy levels. So excited to be on here.
Thank you, Miguel. And I think what's gonna be interesting to, have you on particularly, what's unique about you, right, is you are a healer. Like you have a healing company. And you take people who are really their nervous systems are really shot, right? They can't even eat. They're blind, some of them, they're bedridden. And you get to a place where they're thriving, which is the name of your your program, so to say. And you've done it yourself. And nonetheless, you're still doing this inner healing personal development work. So it's just going to be super cool to hear about, just sharing your experience about what even looks like going further with this and tapping to some other parts. So, my question to you, right, is we started in January, I believe. So it's about 4 or 5 months now. And just looking back from how you were in January, just how you were as a person, business, everything, just what's different now? Like what's really changed for you from this work particularly?
Man, there's a lot that's changed. I'd say the biggest thing is everything just feels lighter. It doesn't feel like I'm swimming upstream anymore. I mean, before business used to feel like I was always in a fight, always in a battle, and it was pretty difficult to take days off and not feel guilty about it. So my brain was on like 24/7. I just could not stop talking and thinking about work because every time I turned my eye away from it or I'd take an hour off here or there or a day off, I'd feel like something bad is going to happen or there's a fire that needs to be put out. And, you know, at certain times in building a business, that might be the case, especially in the beginning, because yeah, you have to build a lot of stuff. But I had a whole team in place and I was just trying to do so many things at once. And I was feeling overwhelmed essentially. And I was feeling it so much to the point that my team started feeling it. Right. And they won't really say anything until they really, really feel it. And by that time, it's not the best situation because if you're feeling as the founder, as a CEO, if you're feeling all that stuff, it's going to show up in meetings and the way you message people, and overall, everybody's going to be less effective. So I feel like business has been running smoother. I feel like I have like 5 times more free time than I used to have, and I can actually take days off and enjoy myself. And I'm noticing that before I felt pretty one dimensional in my life. It was like work and then working out. I was very isolated, but now I'm like trying new things, hanging out with friends, and it's just nice to have a multi-dimensional life than rather than just be this one track of business, business, business all the time, 24/7. So just a lot more energy to get more out of life. That's what I would say.
Beautiful. And the whole essence of this work, right? And we'll explain about it more, right? It's that our inner world is what creates the outer world. That this whole outer world is just a reflection of how we feel, how we think, and we're projecting that and creating that as a reality. So I'm just to ask you, right? As we did the work, are there any specific changes that you can remember that you made within that just had a very obvious consequence on the outer world? Whether it was in your business, relationships, how you viewed things, just anything.
Yes. There were a lot of beliefs that I carried with me throughout the day that I've had for years, and beliefs that actually helped me get to where I was, to help me build a company from scratch and get through difficult times. But those beliefs, while they served me up to that point, I think they were actually holding me back when I got to like where I was back in January. Because at that point, I'd be running the business for 4 years. But there were a lot of sessions, even to this day, where I'll have a certain belief where it almost feels certain that this is the truth. Like, oh, I have to work this much, or if this comes up, then I have to do this. Where we'd question it and we'd question the beliefs and we'd say, is it absolutely true that that's the case? And then I would think about it and be like, well, I guess it's not 100% true. So it got me out of that black and white thinking and help break down old beliefs so we could install new ones, maybe more healthy ones, more sustainable beliefs, and actually more effective beliefs for where I'm at in my life right now. So those were some big mind shifts. And also a lot of the worries I had, because there's 100 different things going on every single day in a business, my mind was constantly thinking, what if this happens? What if that happens? There were a lot of kind of quote unquote worst case scenarios that I was playing in my mind all the time. And then we dove deep into it to be like, where's that coming from? Why is that happening? What if that did happen? What is the worst case? Like, let's actually play it out and just going down these different rabbit holes, but exploring where the beliefs came from and then dealing with them so that fear and anxiety isn't lingering. So, those kind of things, it's kind of like carrying around extra baggage. Like, it just makes everything more difficult and it doesn't really help after a certain point. It's just anticipation and fear of something that has a very low percentage chance of happening. So there's no point in dealing with that. So I had many of those things going on internally, but we dealt with a lot of them by questioning them. And it really helped when you'd ask me certain things, you'd prompt me with certain questions, I'd bring it up and then we'd explore it. And I think the other big thing is, I was pretty open to trying to improve the way my brain functions and energy functions. Just wanted a better life, basically. So I was willing to let go of a lot of those beliefs as well. But that was one of the biggest things is diving into certain beliefs that were leading to a lot of the stressors I had and then questioning them and then reconstructing them with healthier beliefs. We started doing that pretty early on.
Yeah, well said. And for those who are watching, right, the whole premise of this work is our business can't outscale us, our own mindset, our own nervous system, our own belief system. And so I remember more concretely, if you're open to sharing, right? Like there were certain revenue goals you had in mind, certain, KPIs, things you wanted to hit, right? And I remember, you said, hey, I want to hit this target, but then we go through the fears. Well, what if I get sued? Or what if the team can't handle it, right? These are all stories, possibilities, but it's not absolutely the truth. And I know as we started debugging these and letting these go, it was almost like possibilities kind of came on board and ideas about how to make it happen worked. And I remember you told me that your business actually has numerically flourished over the last few months. So could you just talk about maybe concretely about that, just kind of breaking through those mental ceilings that just kind of prevent us as founders from scaling?
Yeah. Yeah, it was really interesting because I think for a lot of things in life, we think we want certain things, and maybe we do want certain things, but it's not all sunshine and rainbows. If there is something that we really wanted to achieve and we've been trying for a long time and we're not hitting that target, well, there's probably something else going on there. It's almost like driving a car. You're hitting the accelerator, but you're also hitting the brakes at the same time. There's some kind of like internal conflict. So we looked at both angles without being biased of like, okay, we want to get to a certain place. We, if you were to get there, what resistance do you have around it? Are there fears around it? Are there anxieties about it? I was like, I guess so. And it started off with like one or two things. And then we realized, wait, there's like 5 to 10 different fears about actually achieving that thing. So subconsciously, I wanted to get to a certain place, but it's like my brain was telling myself a story. If we do get there, guess what? headaches, troubles, lots of late nights, lots of stress. So subconsciously, if that's going on, obviously my brain is gonna hit the brakes a little bit harder. Um, and it's gonna feel like a battle getting there to that next level. So we deconstructed a lot of those, but also it took me opening up and actually admitting that there were fears around those different levels. But I think that's a great starting point because then you can take off the limiters in that sense. But we did that with business. We did that with so many other different things, like even personal life. We did that. So it was a very interesting approach. It felt super simple when we were doing it, but it's stuff like I never would have come up with on my own.
Brilliant. I know another what big change I saw in you, right, is the energy in which you're now working from. So when we start businesses, often, especially new founders, you come from, not inherited wealth. It's like our backs are up against the wall. We're starting out in the mud. There's this kind of survival energy. Maybe we're based off fear and anger, and maybe even some bit of ego. And as you start to let that go, you step into a new energy and a new higher energy of creation. Could you talk about just that transition? Being able to kind of let go of working from some of that lower energy and which does get you to a certain extent, right? We can millionaires off of it, but at a higher level, long term for our health, our wellness, the team, just what's it like just tapping into just this higher energies and operating from there?
Yeah. So I clearly remember this transition, but it was basically going from operating out of like fear and scarcity to abundance and this place of love. So before some days or some weeks, some months, it literally felt like I was working and there was like a gun to my head. Like if I mess up, this is bad. Like I mean, we're working with people's healths here, right? Their health, their lives are on the line. So it felt like I was walking on eggshells every single day. Like if I mess up, this is not just somebody, the program not working out or somebody not getting results. Like this is their literal life on the line. So I put a lot of pressure on myself to try to be perfect. And this is not a way to operate when you operate in fear like that. And also there was yeah, there was a lot of pressure I put on myself. Like, we have to be here by a certain date. We have to do this. We have to do that. We need to. We absolutely must. And if we don't do that, then, I feel like a failure. Right. So I put all these hard rules on myself, and it felt like I was my own slave driver. Like, the days where I did want to take a day off, or the days I wasn't working a 12-hour day, then my subconscious was like cracking a whip. It's like, why aren't you working hard enough? Why are you being lazy? Like, don't you want to help more people? So it was from that place. And then over time, over actually the course of just like a couple months, we were able to shift that into, hey, we don't have to do all this stuff. We don't need to do all of this stuff. There's no shoulds. You get to do this. Like, you have this great opportunity to help people. It's a beautiful thing, right? So I started operating from this place of like abundance and tapping into this like inspiration that's kind of what got me started in this. I was inspired to create all the content and really, really help people. Um, but over time, you get so deep in the numbers and the operations and systems, you kind of forget the whole the whole reason you started. So I got back to that, and now I just really operate from this place of I get to do this. Like, what a privilege it is to be able to film videos or to be able to have these communities online and help these people. So tapping into this, yeah, like you said, this higher frequency of like inspiration, of basically love. And when you tap into that, I mean, that's better than like any coffee or energy drink you could have. And it's very sustainable, and it helps you create a lot cooler things than you otherwise would have created. And it also has a ripple effect out to the team and the clients as well. I mean, I feel like I'm smiling more and I'm showing up to calls just excited and looking forward to it versus there was a period of time where I was like, oh man, I wonder what fire is going to come up today. It went from that to, hey, I wonder what we get to build today so we could help more people. So it's going from that scarcity and fear and pressure to like abundance and opportunity, and a place of inspiration. It's been huge.
That's beautiful, man. I remember, the last few times we've had calls, I asked you in the beginning, like, how are you doing? And pretty much you're just lighting up. You feel good, and you're just like, dude, everything's going smoothly. I remember even last time you said, hey, my team told me to take last Friday off. They don't need me anymore. And the whole essence in the process, right, is it's about letting go. So it's about letting go of our attachments, about letting go of these lower energies. And as we start to let go of that control, that fear, we start to just get more of this energy out of this energy of forcing, controlling, and to just attracting and pulling. And things just kind of happen naturally. Can you talk about what it's like going from that, just getting into that newer energy or that transition to be able just to kind of let go? And I remember you came to Colombia and, things were operating effortlessly. So being able to just kind of let that go and trust that things can work out. And can you just talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, it's it's really interesting. I compare it to like quicksand. The more I try to force an outcome with this like urgent energy, sometimes you need that, but not all the time. The more I try to force an outcome, it's like the more difficult things seemed. And the more primed my brain was to look for all the things that could go wrong and like anticipate all these different things versus, tapping into the other energy of abundance and just good energy, inspiration, and all that stuff. Like things do feel easier and simpler. It's like the difference between trying to swim upstream versus now you're trying to swim with the stream. It's like you have this extra wind behind your sails, it feels like, and things just feel lighter. Like it's really hard to describe, but it's almost like the way I used to operate. I imagine there was myself doing the stuff, and I imagine there's like five other Miguels in the room, like watching me, watching over my shoulder. It's like, make sure you're doing this, make sure you're doing that, and it was hard to really enjoy that. Um, but now it's like I'm in the room by myself. I'm chilling. I'm still working. Like I'm still building stuff, and but it doesn't feel like a grind anymore. Like, I mean, I could be doing this. I could be playing guitar. I could be building stuff. It's kind of the same thing to me. It's just an activity, but yeah, it feels a lot easier and a lot lighter, and there's less. What is it? There's less friction in trying to do stuff versus before I'm trying to force my way through all these activities. So it's just much easier to get through stuff now.
Amazing. A lot of what we work with, right, is we work with the body as an entryway to the inside, meaning like if there's certain skin things that come up or ailments or sicknesses or throat problems, right? Um, it's a doorway into the inside. And I remember even our joke always in the sessions, right, is your voice is getting deeper and deeper.
Yeah.
And you remember you even said, hey, like, dude, I feel like I can lift stronger at the gym. You can just talk about that interesting connection that you've experienced between this mental emotional plane and actual the physical plane, like particularly our bodies and our physical health. And I know you've experienced a lot of this.
hmm Yeah, and going into this, because I was also in the group sessions, I think even back in November or December, started with the group stuff, then I did the one-on-one stuff. And prior to all of this, I knew how much emotions and your thoughts and mindset play into your physical body. I mean, because I was so stressed before that my body literally shut down. That's why I got chronic fatigue syndrome. I literally couldn't walk. I was feeling 50 plus symptoms, completely recovered from that, and went on to live my life. So when we started doing this work, I had an idea that I know this stuff works, but I remember it was the first or second group session where we were releasing stuff. Like you'd ask us to feel where we feel that emotion in our body and let's focus on it, like feel it. And then I started yawning like crazy, like yawning every 15 to 20 seconds. That's how I knew I'm like, okay, there's a lot more stuff stored in there than I thought. I thought I solved all of that stuff, but I guess over the years it builds up. And once I started doing all the yawning, I was like, okay, there's something here. And then I just felt a lot lighter after. And then every session we do that. But yeah, I didn't realize how much is stored in the body, not just in terms of tension, but emotions. Like we talk about certain things in different areas of life, and I'd be like, yeah, that thing actually kind of bothers me. Or that thing's been lingering. That's been there, maybe for 15 years since I was a kid. And then we'd dive into that and just feel the emotion where we feel it on our body or my body, and then I'd be yawning like crazy. And next thing you know, I just feel so much lighter after. And yeah, you're right. My voice would drop like a few octaves. So that's another thing. I feel like my voice has gotten deeper in the last few months with all of this stuff. A little side benefit. That's a benefit. But yeah, things just feel lighter. There's less tension in my body. I can sleep better. I just feel lighter going throughout my day. Um, but it seems so simple. But this kind of stuff, like I even tried doing it on my own before, feeling the emotions, and I was like, yeah, what is this? I can't. I don't feel anything. But with a guide, it actually really helps.
Amazing. I'm curious to ask you because you're obviously not new at all to personal development. To me, your whole company is basically a personal development program, and I know we've invested in masterminds where we met at one. I know you've done Dr. John Martini, all these different kinds of things. Could you describe a little bit about like maybe in comparison, having gone to those things, maybe what's unique or different about this, and maybe what even it solved that some other things didn't quite touch upon?
Yeah. Yeah, I've done a lot of other stuff. Like even with Dr. DeMartini, I've done well over 100 hours of training with him, read a lot of books on this stuff, been to seminars, masterminds, all that stuff with mindset and just trying to level up my brain, basically. But none of those things, what makes this different is most of that was like head up. It was a lot of knowledge, a lot of theory, a lot of like mental exercises. Whereas this, it included like head above, but also with the body. And that's where a lot of the stuff is stored. So that was that was the biggest difference. We actually went down into the body, like where we're feeling the emotions. I guess, I mean, I don't know what the exact name for it is, but you know, it was very somatic, like really connecting the emotions and thoughts to physical things you feel in your body in specific areas. So that was the biggest difference. And I think that's why we've actually been able to clear a lot of these blocks because we actually went into where they're stored versus just thinking through them or, you know, strategizing around them. Like we actually went into them and cleared them. So none of the other things that I tried actually, we actually went into the body to dive
Hmm.
deeper into it.
I'm curious to ask you. That's great. Like, you're a great entrepreneur. You're around tons of other successful entrepreneurs. Just in, it's who I mostly work with. But so often as a time, right, they're focused on AI and strategy, marketing, leadership, all these kind of things, which clearly matter. But just kind of speaking to them, how would you kind of describe just even the importance, of just doing the inner work of just updating their own internal operating system themselves?
Hmm. Yeah. There's this famous saying, it goes, you can't fire a cannon from a canoe. Well, you can actually, but it'll be hard to aim and you can have the biggest cannon, but if the foundation is not strong, that could blow up the whole canoe. It's going to spin it around or do whatever. It's going to sink and all that stuff. So I feel like no matter how smart you are, or no matter how great your ideas are, if you don't have a solid foundation of like understanding how your energy works and understanding what's sustainable for you and, your true gifts, it's going to be really hard to turn those ideas into life and also stay focused on certain ideas. I mean, as an entrepreneur, especially with AI, there's so many new things we can do. There's almost like too many options. Like we could build this dashboard, we could build that, we could do this. All right, let's implement this. All right, let's get the team trained up on it. And then next week, let's train them on this other thing. That's kind of where I was back in January to the point where the team was just so exhausted. And we did an implementation freeze. We were like, okay, guys, I promise nothing new for 3 months. We're just going to hold the line here. And they were all like, you could feel the sigh of relief from the entire team. And actually, we're still operating that way right now. It's not an implementation freeze, but we're rolling things out very strategically versus like fire hydrant in the face with all these different ideas. So I think the more grounded you are as a founder, the better decisions you're going to make and the more sustainable the work can be. And also, probably the healthier the team dynamic will be as well. Because if you're the CEO, you are the nucleus of the organization. So, whatever's happening with you, not just physically, but like mentally and emotionally, that will ripple out to the rest of the team. And guess what? That also ripples out to the clients. So, whatever you're doing, especially with this kind of work, if you are leveling yourself up, guess what? The team will also level up just as a side effect or just as a byproduct of it. And in turn, the systems will improve, the clients will improve. It really has this ripple effect where you are like the center of the organization. Not even from an ego place, but if you think about it, if you're the one making all the decisions or most of the decisions, the big ones, you're the one there figuring out solutions to the most complex problems. You want to be in the right headspace and you don't want to have all that other dragon, all that extra noise happening when you need to focus your brain on how to come up with the best possible solution for things. So yeah, I've seen it be invaluable for people in like a CEO or founder position.
Well said. And I'd like to ask you, right, as you do this energy work, as you change your energy, other people take notice, right? And they treat you differently, they see you differently. You talk about, just the relationships and the people around you, whether it's your team, family, women, I don't know, you're speaking all the time to people. Have you picked up anything in which they see you differently on the outside as a result of changing within?
Yeah, I've definitely been told that like, man, you just seem lighter and just more excited overall. Like you just have way higher energy. I think because before when I'd hang out with people, especially hanging out with people, sometimes not all the time, but I'd zone out or I'd be stressed about something at work and they could kind of sense that. Um, where I'd be there, but I wasn't really there. And I was like, I'd have this blank stare sometimes and think about all these things I need to solve. Whereas now I feel like way more present. I'm like in the moment when I'm hanging out with somebody or at a dinner with friends, or if I'm playing guitar at the beach or something, right? On like a Tuesday night, I'll be there at the beach. My mind isn't somewhere else. So they just say I'm a lot more present and I guess more fun to be around, essentially. Not that I wasn't fun before, but it's like just more fun, I guess. And yeah, just I just they say I feel more alive, basically.
That's awesome. I want to ask you this. I work with a lot of men. A lot of men come to work with me, CEOs, entrepreneurs, and there's a whole craze out there in the men's world, right? And I know you've been through some of it too, right? There's the looks maxing, there's the peptides, there's just the gym culture, and there's a lot of stuff going around, right? Just in the world of masculinity, those kind of topics. Um, but I know that you kind of came to different conclusions to things about that kind of culture as a result of doing this work. I know you started to just accept yourself more, and as you improved your own energy, you just became more attractive. And if you want, we could talk about how it relates to women. I know that's improved that area of life. But could you talk about just kind of speaking to just even just doing the work? Your voice got deeper, right? Doing this work on just your own masculinity and maybe just in context of how other people are perceiving all that right now. Could you just speak a little bit about that?
Yeah, I think as a man, when you go out into the world, there's this whole notion and this idea like, okay, you cannot be weak. You can't show weakness. All this emotional stuff, dude, that's for the girls. Like just bottle it up, put your head down, get back to the grind. Like don't be a sissy. A lot of it is just like push, push, go harder. And if you take a day off, you're basically weak, right? And there are certain times where that can be pretty helpful when you're going through these sprints in life, when you're trying to build something or, any new projects you're starting from scratch. But you end up just kind of beating yourself into the ground and causing yourself to redline your engine. And I mean, I always tell my clients this because most of them are high performers and they burn out, not because they want to burn out, but because they actually want to be productive and get more out of life. So the intention is good, but I always say, it's kind of like a Formula One car. Those are they're the highest performing cars in the entire world. They go fast, they can corner hard. They're worth a lot of money because of how well they run. But even those cars need to take pit stops. They can't just go around the track nonstop without taking a break, right? So if a Formula One car needs a break, you think maybe you need a break? You think you'll actually be better if you change up the tires every now and then, tweak a few things? So understanding that taking breaks or slowing down a little bit sometimes, not all the time, and also doing like I would say like an emotional oil change or something like that. I don't know what a good analogy is, but working on the internal stuff that you don't really see on the surface, but the internal stuff like emotions, like mental blocks, limiting beliefs, things like that, that's going to help you perform way, way better. So it feels like you're taking time out of the day, you're taking time out of building stuff and systems and taking time out of meetings to work on this emotion stuff. It's like, what the heck? But that will make you perform way better when you do get back to those meetings. It's very similar to those Formula One cars doing those little pit stops, right? They do that so that they could go faster and that they could get this new energy, right? Full gas tank so they could go just as hard. And if they don't do that, guess what? They run out of gas or something breaks and now they're out of the race, right? And they have to rebuild and join the next race. So taking the time to actually do this kind of stuff, I mean, at first, it is, I guess, as a guy, it does sound kind of weird. It's like emotions. Oh, that's soft. But then you come to like the group call, for example, then you see there's other founders on that call, other CEOs, other dudes just like me. We're cracking similar jokes, we're laughing at the same things, and we all seem to be doing on the outside like really well. Like in our circles, like people always tell us, "Oh yeah, you're really successful, you live an awesome life," and it's like, okay, cool. But then we go on that call and we're like, man, we're dealing with very similar things, right? It could all look good on the outside, but there's stuff that you never really say out loud to people, um, like limiting beliefs, like not feeling good enough, and that's why you push so hard in business because you feel like you need to do more, or other areas of like life, like relationships and things like that. So when you see other people dealing with this, I think it helps. It helped me realize like, oh, I guess it's not super weird to do all this stuff, and it's not soft, right? And there's other dudes on this call, so I think it's pretty important. And I recommended some friends to do it, and it's interesting. Once you do this work, you could see how it could benefit other people because you could see how they have certain blocks, not from a judgmental place, but they're literally telling me it's like, oh, I'm dealing with this and that. It's like, dude, I think if you work on the emotional side of this, that could solve this. And they're like, yeah, I don't know about that. Like, I should just do this. Back to strategizing, and then sometimes they come on board and then they start clearing that stuff up. But yeah, that was huge.
For sure. I love that. And I love that race car analogy. I'm going to steal that. A lot of people call myself, a spiritual coach, an energy coach, because this emotional plane does trickle itself into the non-physical, the higher plane, so to say. So, I know we've done a lot of crazy stuff, maybe stuff you didn't know we were going to do at the beginning, right? They're working more on the spiritual plane of things, the more esoteric, non-physical. Could you talk about just as much as you want, just how even just tapping into that, like what was that like for you? How did that have an impact on you? Like just what was that like? Just tapping into that other plane.
Yeah, it was pretty cool tapping into the spiritual side of things. And I've done it before when I was completely bedridden for several months. I mean, I couldn't really operate in the physical world, so I had to live in my head. And also, I mean, I got into like astral projection, all that stuff because I was so bored. I needed to do something. So I was living in this other like spiritual world, but I kind of forgot that. And I didn't do it for a long time, for years. And we kind of tapped back into it. And it was realizing that, or not realizing, but I guess remembering that there's a lot more to this whole experience of life than just the physical world. That, the some ideas just that come to us, or ideas of inspiration, it's like being placed into us or being given to us from this other thing, right? And even just different energies. Like I could feel the frequency changing when I'm more anxious and fearful and anticipating things versus when I'm really inspired. Like I could just feel the difference in my experience in the world, but I could change it pretty quickly now. So it was really cool to just kind of pull what do they call it? It's like go behind the curtain of just the physical stuff and be able to tap into that higher power. And yeah, we had some cool experiences in Medellin, Colombia. We did that jungle retreat where yeah, we had that whole meditation thing, and you could see your higher self and your future self and connect to all these different things. And once you get connected to that and you kind of experience it for yourself, the cool part is that is like a source of unlimited energy that you can pull from that never ever runs out. So that's one thing we worked on was drawing energy not from this place of pressure and the need to perform, right? Not not trying to perform from a place of fear, but drawing energy from this place of abundance and just like unlimited energy and potential. So being able to get more connected with that, seeing it, feeling it, um, it's given me like this. I've been able to tap into a different, I guess, power source, you could say. And I think that's why I'm not burning out or I'm feeling way more energized. Um, so that was really cool. Really, really cool to be able to connect with all that again.
Awesome. Yeah. Thanks for sharing that. Again, with a lot of the guys I work with and even women, right? Like everyone, a big part of, besides business is like we always want to find a great partner. It's such an important part of our life and probably, more than 50% of the work, behind the scenes. And I know a lot of modern culture, right? It's all about kind of propping ourselves up and, going to the gym and all these external things, looking good, getting wealthy. But the real attraction, right, is just who we are as a person, the energy that we're getting off. And so much of the time when we just work, we realize, oh, subconsciously we're giving away, needy energy or signals. We're not valuing our worth. You just talk about, even just, in personal life, what it was like just working on that energy result and just how to, maybe affect your relationships, women dating, just a little bit on that category, or how you think about it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it makes going out with friends or dating, things like that, a lot more fun because like you take the pressure off to perform or like to get a certain outcome. You're just there for the vibes. At least that's how I look at it. I'm just here for the good vibes. I would have a great time if I was by myself or if I was with one person or if I was in a group with 5 or 10 people. I'll have just as much fun if I'm by myself. And when you operate from that level, at least I've noticed, yeah, you just get to show up more authentically. Because you're not putting on this, I guess, performance to try to get a certain outcome out of certain social situations. So when I can just like be me and I laugh my ass off sometimes. I'm at the beach by myself looking at memes and I'm like dying laughing. Or on the plane, I'm like having the time of my life scrolling through all these memes or I think of something funny or just little things like that. When you can have just as much fun by yourself as you can with other people around, I think you're just able to show up as like the real you. And people feel that. They feel that energy. And if there is any needy energy that you have or this like feeling the need to perform or like, oh, I need to make everybody laugh today. I need to throw all these crazy jokes. You just let it happen naturally of what you enjoy. I think it comes off across like you said, more authentic. So been it's been really interesting. Like the experiences with people have been, I guess, much deeper. Like we just laugh harder. We have a better time, and it allows me to actually even stay in the moment a lot more. To just like really enjoy that quality time together. So that's been really cool, especially in the last few months.
Beautiful. What I love about this work, right, is like we work in the quantum realm and it opens up possibilities. And a lot of what happens is we clear, all this stuff from our vision, our heart, our self, our throat of what's possible, who we can do, what we can be. My question to you is just having done this work, what becomes possible now that you didn't feel was possible before?
Ooh, man, like everything is possible. It's just a matter of how creative do you want to be? Like, what do you truly want? Right? And the interesting thing is there were things that I said I wanted before or thought I wanted, but now there's other things I want, because it's pretty one dimensional. It was all business or mostly business. Um, and that was taking up like 95% of the goals I had and the bucket list items. Whereas now it's like, okay, there's some business stuff, there's life stuff, there's relationship stuff, there's travel stuff, there's all these things on the bucket list. So now it's just a matter of like, hey, which ones do I want to do first? Because nothing is really off limits. You you know, you could really do anything you want. Um, it's just a matter of like, okay, how do you fit it all together in this thing you call life? Like, what do you actually want to do? So now I find myself thinking with all the things I could do, what do I really want to do? Because I can't do all of this at once. There's a lot of stuff. Let's put it in order versus before it's like it was a little bit more limited of like if I do this stuff, I won't have time for work and the work's gonna suffer and it's gonna burn down basically if I turn away from it for a few days. Whereas now I know it can run. Um, and stuff can happen simultaneously as well. Like that could be building up while I'm having a great time over here, as long as I'm pretty strategic about it. So, in terms of what's possible, really the sky's the limit. It's like, how creative can you get, really?
For sure. It's unlimited. It's got a few more questions for you and we'll wrap up. This is fantastic, man. A lot of people probably watching this, maybe they're business owners, entrepreneurs. Often at times they're looking for a partner, they're looking for more peace inside, looking to really felt that figure out the real them, the true them. Just what kind of advice would you give to just the people watching this, who are, yeah, that are curious about this work, that are looking to get into it? Just, yeah, just what would you be able to tell them? Just
Yeah. I mean, for discovering like your true self or who you really are on the inside, you want to peel back the onion layers and really, really see that and feel that. Even from what I've seen with clients, like we've worked with thousands of clients, literally. So we see transformations happen all the time. I've never seen a transformation happen or like an aha moment or a mind shift or someone really have that big change in their life. I've never seen it happen automatically or like by accident. Usually something happens in their life where there's a crisis and then they have to change. Um, well, they don't have to, they could keep going. But in order to change that crisis and kind of solve it, they need to work on themselves, whether it's relationships or work or whatever it is. They need to do the inner work so they could solve that. So usually it's either from a crisis happening or maybe there's just curiosity where they're like, hey, I just really want to level up my stats as a character on this planet in life. I want to level it up. So I will go out and seek different ways to do that. And they had the intention and they made a decision to actually go do that. They were proactive about it. And so whether they signed up for a course or hired somebody or read a book and implemented it every day, they actually went out of their way to try to level up. So it doesn't just happen by accident. And yeah, you have to be intentional about it. Um, I think for most people, if they are in business, they probably have that growth mindset anyways. Like they want to do better, not just financially, but what's behind that. They want to be, I guess, more quote unquote successful as a person. So there is some kind of personal development inkling there. Um, I would say even with the groups you run, Madison, the one-on-one stuff and the Awakened Entrepreneurs group, even just joining the group call because it's going to show you that this is not all fairy airy fairy stuff. It's not all like woo wah stuff, woo woo wee wah. This stuff is actually interesting. I actually feel it, and then it's in a pretty safe environment. Like it's not just you one on one. It's you with other entrepreneurs, like just like yourself, dealing with similar things, and we're solving the stuff in real time. And it's a way to kind of dip your toes in. That's how I did it. And then once I saw it actually working and having a positive change in my life, I was like, okay, there's proof of concept here. I felt some change. Now imagine if we just go all in. So you have to be intentional about it. But I mean, if someone's listening to this interview this far in, they probably want to make some kind of positive change in their life too.
Yeah, well said. We'll wrap up here. I just have one last question for you. And again, people are watching this at this point of the interview by far. They're probably ready to go. They're ready, looking outside, looking in, ready to jump, or maybe just enter the program. Is there just any final thoughts, any last words you just want to tell people at this point who are, yeah, they're here at the interview?
Yeah, I would say there's, I mean, I can't really see a downside of doing this work. I only see like tons of upside and benefit from this kind of stuff. I mean, if you think about all the things we spend money on, like food, housing, um, if you're a guy, haircuts, right? I guess girls get haircuts too. But all the things like we spend money on, like the most important thing is our mindset because that's the lens that you see the world through. And if that lens is a bit blurry right now, or I don't know, you feel like something's missing or you're stressed out, you just want a better quality of life, like it does not hurt at all to even just try coming to a single group session and just experiencing it for yourself. I mean, I recommend this to all my friends. I have a lot of business friends and I recommend it to all of them. So I would definitely highly recommend this to any kind of entrepreneur. Even if you're absolutely crushing it, this is going to make you crush it even more. It's like adding nitros to the engine here. So like why wouldn't you want to optimize that, right? So I'm happy I started it and there's been some crazy transformations and we've only been working together for 4 months now, 4 months and a bit, but it's felt like we did a few years work condensed into that 4 months. So I'm excited to continue with it and continue leveling up. And yeah, just would highly recommend people just don't even, you don't even have to commit for like several months. Just try one session, just experience it for yourself and you'll see.
All right, Miguel. Well, I appreciate it. And yeah, thanks for your time and just yeah, the journey that we've had the last 4.5 months. And we've got another chapter, another 3, 4 months ahead of us. So I'm excited, looking forward to it. But yeah, I appreciate your time, sharing your experience, just your honest yeah, time in the program and doing the sessions and then our work. And yeah, just looking so forward to so much yeah, it affects you, your life, and yeah, just continuing the journey together. So hey man, well ended here. But yeah, thanks for coming on and yeah, I appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.